Okay, so, we're diving deep today
Deep.
into Hasegawa model kits.
Yeah.
And we have this YouTube transcript from, let me see here, Michael's Modellbaustube. Is that?
Yep. That's it.
Okay, yeah. Michael's
A
Modellbaustube.
great channel, by the way.
Yeah. So we have this transcript about Hasegawa, and I'm excited to kind of pick it apart
Me too.
and see what we can learn about this company that makes these.
These awesome models.
Yeah, they're very cool. So anyway, Hasegawa, they're a Japanese company.
Right?
They got their start way back in 1941
Wow.
in a place called Shizuoka, Japan.
Shizuoka. Yeah, it's like Model Kit Central over there.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, like Fujimi Tamiya.
All the big ones.
Right there.
It's like, I don't know, Detroit for cars or something.
Exactly. Must be something in the water.
Yeah, so, I think it's interesting because Hasegawa didn't actually start with plastic models.
Really?
Yeah, they started with wooden models. And some of them were even for, like, educational purposes, like in schools.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And they didn't actually switch to plastic until 1961.
So they were kind of late to the game then.
Yeah, kind of, but, they adapted.
That's important.
And I think, looking back, it seems like a pretty smart move.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because right after that, in 1962, they released the Yamato battleship in 1450 scale.
The Yamato.
Yeah, and it was like
That's iconic.
huge hit. They sold over 150,000 of them in that first year.
Wow. That's impressive.
Right. So I think, maybe companies like Tamiya, who were already doing plastic models, were like, oh, okay.
Like, we got some competition now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Yamato was 1450 scale.
Yeah, so for people who don't know about scales, that means the model is 14/50th the size of the real Yamato battleship.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a pretty big model if it was full size, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have room for much else.
Definitely not.
But they didn't just stop there,
All right.
This transcript mentions a couple other models that were really important for them.
Okay, which ones?
The F-104 Starfighter
Oh, cool.
in 190 scale,
Nice.
and the P-51 Mustang in 170 scale.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, right? And these models also sold incredibly well.
I can see why.
Yeah, and, after that success, they decided to go all in on plastic models.
Okay, so no more wood.
No more wood.
Interesting.
Yeah, but let's see. So the Starfighter, that would be 190th the size of a real Starfighter.
Right.
And the Mustang would be 170th the size of a real P-51 Mustang.
Yeah, makes sense.
And now when you look at their current lineup of kits, it's amazing how much variety they have.
Oh, yeah.
They have cars in a 112 scale and 124 scale.
Okay.
They have this incredible 18 scale aircraft museum collection.
Oh, wow.
Those are like for the super detail-oriented people.
Yeah, like museum quality.
Yeah, and they also have a ton of military models in different scales.
Like what kind of scales?
Let's see, they have them in 132,
Okay.
148, and 172.
Wow, so lots of options.
Yeah, and then they have ships too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 1350 and 1700 scale. Nice. And even some airliners in 1200 scale.
Wow, they really do cover it all.
Yeah, it's impressive, right?
Really impressive.
But here's a question for you, especially if you're listening to this in Europe.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that you don't see that many Hasegawa kits in stores?
I guess I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because,
They're popular.
yeah, they are popular, but it turns out they have these distribution agreements with other companies.
Like who?
The biggest one is Revell.
Oh, Revell. Okay.
Yeah, so, if you're in Europe and you see a Revell kit,
Yeah.
it might actually be made by Hasegawa.
Oh, wow. So it's like a secret.
Kind of like a secret identity.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But why would they do that?
Well, it seems like it's a good way for Hasegawa to get their models into more stores in Europe.
Makes sense.
Revell already has a really good distribution network there.
Right. So it's easier for them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just one way.
Oh.
Apparently in Japan, you can find Revell kits that are branded as Hasegawa.
Oh, wow. So they kind of switch it up.
Yeah, it's like a you help me, I help you kind of thing.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good partnership. So besides the actual model kits themselves,
Yeah.
Hasegawa also makes some really cool accessories.
Oh, like what?
Well, they have these self-adhesive films.
Self-adhesive.
Yeah, you can use them to make things look like carbon fiber or mirrors or like clear-colored lenses.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and even wood grain.
No way.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's really neat.
And they also make detail sets for certain models.
Oh, wow. So you can really go all out.
Yeah, if you really want to make your model super accurate, you can get these detail sets.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, but one thing that's kind of interesting is that Hasegawa doesn't have their own paint line.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, I know, right? It seems like most model companies have their own paints.
Yeah, they usually do.
But in their instructions, Hasegawa always recommends paints from guns.
Guns. Oh, like Mr. Hobby.
Yeah, exactly, Mr. Hobby. Yeah, and the guy in the YouTube video, he thinks it might be because of their rivalry with Tamiya.
To me, oh yeah, they have a huge paint selection.
Yeah, they do. It's like their whole thing, right? So maybe Hasegawa's like, okay, well, we'll partner with Gunzy then.
Yeah, like pick a side.
Yeah, that's like they're choosing their allies in the model world.
The model wars.
Yeah, and maybe it's also just easier for Hasegawa to focus on making the models.
Right, and let guns handle the paint.
Exactly, because making paint is a whole other thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the big question is Hasegawa a top manufacturer?
Well, what do you think?
I mean, based on everything we've learned from this transcript,
Yeah.
I think they definitely are.
I think so too.
They're known for making really accurate and detailed models.
Yeah.
They have a huge variety of subjects and scale, and they have those awesome accessories.
It's hard to beat that.
Right. But the only thing is that sometimes their models are a little bit harder to build.
Oh, really?
Yeah, compared to some other brands.
Is that a bad thing, though?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, some people like a challenge.
Right.
But if you're a beginner, it might be a little frustrating.
Yeah, I guess so.
So for people in Europe, there's one other thing to keep in mind.
Okay.
It's harder to find Hasegawa kits there because of that whole Revell thing.
Right.
So you might have to order them online.
Which can get expensive.
Yeah, especially with import fees and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And the transcript also mentions that sometimes people complain about the quality of the plastic that Hasegawa uses.
Oh, really?
But the guy in the video, he said he hasn't had any problems personally.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so it seems like it might not be a widespread issue.
Yeah, it could just be a few bad batches or something.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, that's pretty much everything from the transcript.
Wow, that was a lot of info.
Yeah, we covered a lot, right?
We did.
So what do you think, what stood out to you the most about Hasegawa?
I think it's amazing how they started with wooden models.
Yeah.
And then they switched to plastic and became so successful.
It's a cool story, right?
Yeah, it really is. And it makes me wonder, like, when you're choosing a model to build,
Yeah.
what's more important to you? Like, do you want a model that's super realistic, even if it's difficult to build?
Or do you want something that's easier to put together, even if it's not as detailed?
Right. And then, knowing about these partnerships and rebranding deals,
Yeah.
like with Hasegawa and Revell,
Mm-hmm.
does that change how you think about finding and buying models?
It's something to think about, for sure.
Definitely a lot to consider.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Hasegawa.
It was my pleasure.
I hope you learned something new and interesting about this company, and maybe it even sparks some ideas for your next model building project.
Maybe so. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.